In this video, I'm going to be philosophizing on racism concerning distinct, equitable treatment, with the most onerously existing within the so-named free world, uniquely with the most basic human rights and/or freedoms throughout the globe, resultant not truly from free markets per se, yet fair markets, fairer from fair trade and or equitable treatment, not equal treatment nor egalitarianism, that is more harmful, arising from the ideologues whom preach the insectozoid, corrupt philosophizings of Hegel, whom is a troublemaker and or scoundrel himself, whom contributes to atrocities within his tainted philosophizing, advocating for egalitarianism and or corrupting the thinking of individuals whom are responsible for the atrocities of the 21st century, engaging genocides around the world, from the probabilistic entailments arising from egalitarianisms, needing the appropriate reprimand and or treatment with uniquely tolerance within the fair trade that is responsible for promoting equity within the workplace and or allowancing and or disallowancing individuals to think more in terms of equity from the ethical values individuals appropriate, seeing others engage in certain equitable treatment and or experiencing certain mutual benefits that optimize cooperation, thinking that's gooder, not badder, compared to petty equalities that are blind to the disparities in terms of individual distinctions within what constitutes one's existentia. One may never truly think about the colorism within their skin, nor the pigmentation of their being, until experiencing certain stereotypes that may truthfully not be characteristic of the individual, with more spurious, onerous, tainted convictions that are harmful to another individual's subjective well-being. Scooping up indigenous individuals and or expecting them to engage more meaningful conducts in residential schools, holding certain genocidal histories that have been expunged and or are more likely to be within contemporaneity frowned upon, to think it truly unjust and or unethical, yet certain inequities are still resultant from the residential schools having certain negative consequences for 2 generations, from the grandmothers whom experience stress-related harms and or wrongdoings, from the damages to the chromatides within ovaries, responsible for the gametes that their daughters and or sons and or more uniquely their daughters carry harmed genetic materials that harm even their offspring for 2 generations, experiencing what has been named systemic racism, resulting from what is neglected in terms of these truthful injuries, more likely to, within the epigenetic conducts, one truthfully does not experientially encounter the unexplainable proclivities for certain individuals to engage the desire to drink more alcohol and or engage certain substance abuse from their ancestors, harmed from residential schools for up to 2 generations, damaging chromatides. You may need a microscope to observe the injuries and or threats and or harms, more likely to oper on in terms of the activations and or oper off with certain more equitable treatment instead of harmful treatment, resulting in pathogens that are more likely to result in miscommunications from stereotyping, thinking certain individuals are more responsible for their condition than they may be. Not to mean they are not responsible for certain misconducts and or crimes. Systemic racism itself does not excuse certain misconducts and or crimes, nor most. Yet there is certain unique perceptions of misconducts and or harms that some individuals are truthfully less responsible for, and or in some cases should not be punished. Racism mostly pertains to distinctions within the arbitrary inequities in treatment of others, engaging erroneous and or fallacious thinking, often appealing to emotion, associated with anger and or resentment for perceptions of unfairness, thinking, what should I conduct in order to receive the benefits that individual whom is engaging less meaningful work than I is receiving? This is more likely to be the resultant of an individual whom is born into a privileged family, most likely Caucasian, whom is of a higher socioeconomic privilege. Not necessarily individuals whom are holding certain meaningful similarities with higher intellect per se, and whom are more likely to actually factually, probabilistically think more clearly in terms of equities within their privilege, whom from the most meaningful and or prestigious individuals whom have fairly earned their prestige in society, engage more responsible conducts. Yet the individuals whom are lower and or more negligent and or more irresponsible than others whom are more privileged are more likely to engage in stereotypes, with the most individuals most likely